Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm pretty all right. Grading another Oilers win most of the way through it, and
Can't complain.
I can't complain when they're winning 7 out of 8 as they have so far. The third time in 6 seasons. I kept mentioning on the broadcast they started 7-1, and the weird thing is that each time they lost the exact same game, number 6, and they won the first 5, and then they bounced back from that one loss with 2 wins, which is really the way to do it.
Spooky. It's spooky, Bruce. They've been
That time of year.
7-1. How many years out of what?
3 out of the last 6.
Really?
16-17. The year they got Adam Larson and Milan Lucic, and Cam Talbot was just so good, and they came flying out of the gate, and that was the first time they made the playoffs in 11 long seasons. You'll remember that.
Yeah.
And then sweet. Of course, 2 years ago in Dave Tippett's debut behind the bench, they started off 5-0, and then of course this year is the third one. So,
well, those other teams regressed to the mean, as the hockey stats guys like to say. Bruce, this team obviously isn't going to, win 7 out of 8 games all year, but
they're not going to go 70-10.
This team, yeah, it's not what was it? Which team was so great? I think it was an NBA team, maybe the LA Lakers one year. I can't remember. Then the Montreal Canadiens, of course, in was 77, 78. Was that their big year?
76, 77, that they went 68-12. And the next year they slid all the way to 59, 10, and 11.
68-12. Mandatory.
8-12. 8 losses. 8
greatest,
losses,
maybe the greatest NHL.
Games.
Maybe the greatest NHL team ever, although the 84-85 Edmonton Oilers actually were voted by NHL.com as the greatest NHL team of all time. So 5-2 over the Seattle Kraken.
5-2.
Seattle, what do we have the chances? 17-15 for Seattle. So they outchanced on grade A chances, the Oilers. It was a mistake-prone 5-2 win, but the Oilers on pure, unbelievable, brilliant, just great skill, they won that game. They're just incredible skill plays, mainly by, Leon Drysettle tonight leading the way. That's how you win them, Bruce, when you've got a team of high skill, and that's what the Oilers did.
Trade chances and spare yours, and count on your goalie to thwart the other guys, and that's how the '80s team worked. Also, they tended to trade chances a lot, but their execution was just so much better that they won a lot of games. And this one, I wasn't really happy with the way the Oilers played this game. Not really at all. Like, there was a long stretches of very sloppy and disorganized hockey and cavalier puck management and coverage. And they were playing against a team that was playing their back-to-back. They were using their number 3 goalie because their starter had played 4 in a row in the homestand, and they had their number 2 guys hurt or out. I'm not quite sure what his issue is. And then so they used their number 3, Joey Decor. The Oilers only got 23 shots on him, but they managed to pump 5 past him. So happy ending.
And 5 nice goals. 5 nice goals.
There was nice things to like about all 5 of those goals. Got a little lucky break on 1 or 2 of them, but all 5 of them. I bet you all 5 shots were under 10 feet.
Yeah,
they were all scored from right around the blue paint.
So, Bruce, we'll do our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. 2 good things each. What's your first good thing?
Well, I'm going to give it. Sound like a broken record, but I'm going to give another big shout out to that big netminder, Mikko Koskinen, who I thought was terrific in this game, and a huge 6'7", huge reason why Edmonton came away with the 2 points in regulation. Even though 5-2, it looks pretty comfortable. But he was under the gun a lot of the game, and he kept delivering big saves, and the Oilers got him the lead, and he held on to the lead and made the stops, especially in the second period when Seattle had 11 grade A looks, 11, including 5 or 6 on the power play. They had a couple of power plays in a row where they just seemed like they had the puck on the string, and they were getting good chances. And they were, like obviously they're not a team full of superstars, but they had guys with the chances: Jordan Eberle, Ryan Donato, Brandon Tanev, Jaden Schwartz, who scored a beautiful goal, Callie Yarncroc, Alex Wenberg. I mean, these are good players, and they were, getting sort of eyeball to eyeball with Koskinen, and he was staring them down and making the big stops. And I thought he was rock solid. And like I say, just a huge part of the win. Another .931 save percentage tonight, and a well-earned win. He's now 5 wins, 1 loss.
.933 save percentage overall for Mikko Koskinen this year, Bruce. He's, of goalies who have played at least 5 games, he ranks, I think, 7th in save percentage overall in the NHL right now. Of course, it's early in the year. All these save percentages will come down.
Right. Yes.
But
goalies start hot. Every year you got a few goalies that start out super hot, and they just are unsustainable for a bit, and it's going to catch up with them. It'll catch up with Mikko at some point, but I'm very encouraged by how well he's played. And he had that one stinker game, and honestly, in all 5 of the other games, I thought he was excellent to outstanding.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy, and I think his story touched a lot of people heading into the season.
Mm-hmm.
That like last year was just a terrible year for him personally,
Mm-hmm.
missing his family, never felt in sync. So there's a lot of people rooting for him, even as a lot of people still hold the Chiarelli contract against Peter Chiarelli's final act, or is it the Bob Nicholson contract? That contract is still held against him by many. But a lot of people are really, and we saw that come out when he had the one bad game. People are just jumping on him as soon as it happened. Yeah. Not a good look. But he's playing well. He played well in, what was it, 2019-20 season. He was a solid goalie that year. He's capable of being a solid goaltender over a long stretch of time for the Oilers, and he's really coming through for them now.
Tonight was the first time where I thought maybe Dave Tippett could have gone to Stuart Skinner. Like I've all along, like people anxious to get Skinner in there and not play Koskinen back to back and so on. But I thought he was the conservative but right choice every game. And tonight I thought if they're going to put Skinner in, maybe this is the one. But in retrospect, I'm glad they had Koskinen in, because that game could have gone sideways if the young goalie had anything resembling a tough night, because Seattle kept coming.
My good thing, Bruce, is Leon Drysettle, who just had a fantastic game. You counted it up. He was in on 9 grade A scoring chances, was he? Which is, if you get up to 10, then you're really into, the Mount Everest territory. But he's at K2, getting 9. It's a pretty impressive achievement. And she just flashed chances. Tremendous skill all night long. I'll just go through like his goals. Even that first goal off his skate, he was intending to put that off his skate towards the net, and that worked. Got a goal. On the Keith goal, he takes it hard to he takes it wide and hard to the net and puts it across, and Keith baps it in. It's like a gimme putt for Duncan Keith there. The third goal, what's that?
Keith made a good shot. He didn't have a lot of room there. I think he tucked it in off the near side post, but the puck was there for him to do that.
Let me just see what's the third goal that we have here.
Well, there was the power play goal that he scored off the Hyman feed right across the goal mouth.
Oh, yeah. He just drives hard to the net. And it's never easy to get your stick on that puck and direct it at the net. And, of course,
put it upstairs.
Leon made it look pretty easy. And then the final point that he got was fantastic because he set up Connor Yamamoto. First time Yamamoto scored in a long time. What's the exact number, Bruce? How many games?
Oh, well, I think they said he'd had one goal in his previous 36 games.
Oh, geez.
So that's a huge, I mean, that's half a season with one goal. So he really needed to get off the schneid, as the sportscasters say. And he indeed got off the schneid, thanks to, Yamamoto made the play too. Like he was the
Yeah,
one
neutral
who
zone.
got the puck in the neutral zone, got it up to Leon, and Leon managed to draw, seemed like three different Seattle players all were magnetized by Leon. And when he pulled the third guy into him, then he just slid the puck through, and Yamamoto was in free, and he made a nice little move to tuck it home. But the setup was masterful.
I thought his best moment came um, 10 seconds left in the second period. He's in on two chances. And one of them is on this this turnaround wrist shot that he has. I think that's what I'm going to call it. You know, the old turnaround jump shot where you
Hmm.
get the pass and you turn around and shoot. This is Leon's turnaround wrist shot where he gets the his back's facing the net. He gets it on his backhand and he turns and fires.
Hmm.
And that was blocked, but McD almost hammered in the rebound. And
Hmm.
then that Nugent Hopkins made a very nice pass behind the net to McDavid, who made an excellent pass then to Drysettle for the old executioner shot. He got all of it, and it's amazing that that puck did not go on the net. Um, Drysettle was most amazed at all he thought he had scored.
It went
Bruce,
through
just
Decord's glove, and his
yeah.
skates caught it right in front of the goal line. He just barely got the last piece of his equipment on. Keep that one out. Kind of a miracle stop.
What's the NHL goal
He had a
scoring?
breakaway too, right? I mean, Connor set him in for a clear-cut breakaway, Leon. So, I mean, he was just dangerous all night. I'm sorry, the NHL record for
No, I'm just checking the scoring. Oh, he's now tied with Connor McDavid for
they're
the scoring
tied,
lead in the
dead
NHL.
tied. 7 goals, 10
17.
assists, 17 points each.
Drysaddle's +9, McDavid is +2. And
Yes.
that's what we've seen with our grade A scoring chance data, Bruce, this year is Connor McDavid has been leaking a lot of grade A chances against, if we're completely honest about this. He's not been stellar defensively, whereas Leon has picked it up defensively and is having a very strong year, two-way year, both ends of the ice. And this was the first game, I think. This was the first game that the dynamite line to me looked like the dynamite line of 2019-20. Moving the puck around with a little bit more aplomb and making plays together. And there was just some moments where they looked really good. And of course, the goal, Yamamoto's goal, was the icing on the cake of that for sure. It was the top moment. But I thought that line looked really good, and I'm glad that Tippett's sticking with them for a little bit here. Why not see if they can get him going? And I think they are maybe going here. So
Yeah, well, Leon he had another chance for the hat trick late, and he deferred to Nuge that time because he came coming into the game. Both of his wingers had no goals. Hard to imagine for a guy that's now leading the league in scoring that neither of his wingers had a goal. Well, one of them now does, and he tried to set up the other one. He tried to dish it off to Nuge on a play where he probably would have been better advised just to let fly, but the game was in hand, and I think it was an unselfish play by him. And
Nuge,
so,
8 games, 11 assists. 8 games
mhm,
and 11 assists. Very nice, very nice.
yeah.
Bruce, what's your second good
So,
thing?
yeah, just going to give you the stat here if this stupid thing will react. Okay. On ice goals for all situations. Leon's been on the ice for 23 goals this year and 4 against.
Wow. Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
been really
mind you,
strong defensively.
some of that's power play, obviously, but he also played 3-on-5 and 4-on-6, and he's been on the ice for 4 goals against in 182 minutes. 23-4.
Well, a lot of
So
those are
plus
power plays.
nine at plus nine at even strength officially.
Yeah.
But also, the power play is so deadly in large part because he's on it. So that all situations goals. I mean, you have to say, yeah, you know it's going to be slanted one way or the other just by deployment. But
Yeah,
23-4.
yeah,
Whoa.
yeah. Alrighty, what's your second good thing?
Uh, I'm going to just focus specifically on the second Oilers goal, the one that put them ahead to stay at 2-1, the power play goal. And this was a power play goal where Connor McDavid was nothing but a decoy, but the other four guys all made beautiful plays. Three of them made beautiful passes, and Leon had the finishing touch. But they started from deep in their own territory with Connor coming around behind the net, and you're expecting one of those plays where they come out and they delay and they feed it back to him, and he comes charging up the blue line. Well, instead, Tyson Barrie looked up and fired a long stretch pass to the far blue line right onto the stick of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who came over the line with the puck. And there was one camera angle that showed it perfectly. The lane that Nuge made his pass through to Hyman, and he had to thread it, an aerial pass right in between two Seattle defenders into a slot that was maybe a foot wide and had to be in the air, and then it had to come down flat on the other end. But that pass by Nuge was absolutely fantastic, inch perfect. And then, so that set Hyman in on goal, and Hyman had the presence of mind to know that Drysettle was charging up the other side, and he made a third beautiful pass in a row by the team across the crease to Drysettle, and Leon was able to chip it upstairs. And I just thought sensational skill on display from all players. It's one of those old Oilers kind of goal. They just overwhelm you with several great plays in a row, and you just can't stop it.
Yeah, it was amazing. Nuge's pass was so good.
Unreal.
It was such a great play. My wife only likes to see the really great plays, and that was one. That was the one play tonight where I called her
Yeah,
from where she was
yeah.
in the living room. I
That
said, "Oh,
was
you
that
got to
was
come see this one. You got to see this goal. Like it was such a great goal." Bruce, my second good thing is another goal, and this was such a crucial goal because it was 3-2 then, I believe,
mhm.
and you never know what's going to happen. But the fourth line scored the goal. And I liked the way they scored it because it was just such a fundamental good play by Kyle Turris on the goal. First of all, he advances the puck to center ice and he makes, for a fourth line guy, he makes the good play. Get it in deep. He got that puck in deep. He dumped it in. He got it in deep, which is that's what you're out there to do if you're on the fourth line. And then Devon Shore rushes in hard, bowls his way in there, beats everyone else to the puck in the corner. Then he makes a great skill play. And this is the funny thing about Devon Shore. Every once in a while, once every 2 weeks maybe, or once a month, he makes just a fantastic skill play. And this was it. Just he puts the puck cross seam, across the ice, and who then makes another great fundamental play. Kyle Turris, after dumping it in, he goes right to the net. As our friend Murdoch
Stick it on the
Davis
ice.
says, GTFN, get to the frickin' net. Not exactly, the
Yeah.
word isn't frickin', but he was in an Oilers practice, I think. He
I've
said
only
one
ever
day.
seen GTTFN, so I've only had to assume what the F stood for, but I'm pretty sure it's not frickin'.
He was in an Oilers practice
It's
and
an
he heard
old
Sather, I
Sather.
think. He's heard Sather yelling this repeatedly at the players. GTFN.
Yeah,
uh,
that sounds like slots.
GTTFN, as you say. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's what Turris did, and he was rewarded with a goal. So great fundamental
Hmm.
play by Kyle Turris on that play, both the dump in and going to the net, and crucial goal for the Edmonton team, and they needed the fourth line to do something. So
Yeah,
you wrote a
especially after
post
they
picking
got
on him.
burned on the 3-2 goal late
Yeah,
in the previous period, where Turris was unable to prevent the shot from the slot. But at least they got it back, right? I
that was
mean, break even. That's my request to the fourth line. Don't expect you to go out and blow the other team off the sheet, but break even. And if it's 0-0 or 1-1, whatever, breaking even,
yeah.
you're doing your job.
Yeah, honestly, at the start of the game, I'm thinking like, why are they playing Shore and why are they playing Turris again? Like, can't they play somebody else? Um,
It was a
although,
nice play by both guys,
yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah, and they need to make more of them. They got it, and like you say, they got to come out even.
Right.
What's your bad thing?
Oh, yeah. I told you earlier.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember, and I can't even remember my bad thing, or I'd jump in right now.
Oh, yeah. I got Darnell Nurse and Evan Bouchard. I thought this was by far the worst game of the season by both guys. And Nurse was uh, beaten like a hoop around a barrel, is how Howie Meeker used to say, by Jaden Schwartz on the first Seattle goal. Just a one-on-one rush, and Schwartz was Nurse's man primarily. He didn't get a lot of help from Bouchard, but it was Nurse that Schwartz went around. And uh, I said to my wife, "Boy, you don't see Darnell get beat one-on-one like that very often." And then a few minutes later, it happened again. It didn't turn into a goal or anything, but he just flat out got burned on what looked to be a straight up one-on-one play. And he had he had a tough night on the penalty kill, and he was just kind of running around a little bit, right? And the orders were disorganized, and that first pairing was part of the disorganization. As for Bouchard, uh, uh, he seemed a little bit lost in the defensive zone. He got beat and coverage a couple times. He coughed up the puck real bad. I don't know how the scorekeepers missed it. They didn't. They just
Oh,
recorded
that
the
was
shot
bad. Yeah,
on net, but he just put it right on the guy's stick in the slot, and the guy let fly, and it was another save by Koskinen to bail him out. And I just thought he was, um, that big brain he has that sees the game, and it just didn't seem to be clicking. His passes weren't quite on the target. I think they both iced the puck. There was just they didn't have it going on, and the game summary, Korsky, Bouchard +9, -20, right? Shot 6 to 11. They were playing in their own end, and they were having trouble breaking the cycle. And honestly, the Oilers as a team, I thought there was a few times they just need to knock somebody down and break the cycle that way, and just take somebody out of the play, not crush them, just take somebody out of the play and stop that endless cycle. But they uh, they
how
had a
many
tough
hits did
night.
Nurse have?
Officially, he had three, and
Maybe.
Bouchard had one with two official giveaways, and not counting the worst one, which somehow got missed.
Maybe Nurse is tired of hitting so many 8 players a game. Maybe he's getting tired of that, so he's cut down to 3.
And they only they played 21 minutes for Nurse, 22 for Bouchard. So the coach cut him a little bit of slack and gave a little bit more balance of ice time to the other guys tonight.
Well, that's a good
So,
idea.
well,
Keith
not
and
bad. I mean,
Cece.
they didn't have it going on, and coach recognized that and gave Keith and Cece right around 20 minutes each. And Barry also got close to 20 minutes, counting power play time, and only Slater Cuckoo was down in the 13-minute range.
Barry's playing better. He's getting his game
Mm-hmm.
together a bit more. Uh, yeah. It was that turnover by Bouchard, Bruce. It was for me as a beer league hockey player who constantly makes plays like that. It's kind of heartening to see such a great player do it.
Like
It's
watching a pro golfer miss a 2-foot putt
it's like,
once in
yeah,
a while.
it's kind of like, oh geez, even the greatest passer or one of the great passers of the Oilers team right now makes a mistake like that. He's like a mutant X-Men Bouchard, the way he can make those passes. Like they're laser guided usually, but man, he he
He made
missed that
some
one.
good passes tonight, but he missed more than he
Yeah.
should have. And I just didn't think he was particularly on his game. I didn't think he was reading the game well. And it's an off night. So
Um, my bad thing was the Oilers on the PK. Now I know they weren't scored on, but they did allow 5 grade A chances in the second period in a cluster there, and it just struck me they were running
cluster.
around. They were making Nurse especially. picking on Nurse here. They were making bad decisions, and
Ryan too, eh?
Ryan, yeah, the puck went through Ryan a couple times. Those are more tough plays in a way. I thought Nurse though was kind of pulling himself out of position and like being aggressive and then not winning the battle. They just were out of sync in that moment in the PK in a way that I hadn't really seen that often this year. So they'll get that together. You can't be perfect all the time. PK's been pretty good this year, hasn't it? Like
Yeah,
I don't,
it
I
was
don't know
good
what it is
tonight,
overall.
but that's because Mikko Koskinen tonight was their best penalty
Yeah,
killer.
that's
Well,
right.
that hasn't
So
always been the case, but tonight he sure was, and he bailed out his men a few times there where they got beat for a good chance, and he had the answer for it.
Mikko Koskinen. There you go. You need him. Let's see. PK percentage. The Oilers are the third best team
Yeah.
in PK percentage, 91 point. Oh, they're tied for second at 91.3 with St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
That is an unbelievably high PK percentage for early in the year. I mean, their special teams are just off the charts here, Bruce, early in the year, which explains kind of an off the charts winning
Right.
percentage, right? Like that's why that happens.
They're 12-4, 0 against on the power play and 1-4, 2 against on the penalty kill. So they're a net plus 11 on special teams after just 8 games plus 11.
That'll
I mean, even strength are just kind of a break-even team, but they're crushing it. Third year in a row under Tippett. I mean, it's clearly a pattern.
What's your
And
number?
you may not want to credit Tippett for the power play and just say it's the great players they got, but the penalty kill every year he's got different guys to work with, and every year the penalty kill is done the job that he's been here. So
I credit him for the power play. I mean, they're part of it. The coaches, they're working with these
yeah,
players, but it's been
I
good players.
guess the glib way is to say, well, with Drysettle and McDavid and Nugent Hopkins, anybody could coach that power play, and there's
Well,
some
Todd
truth. I
McFarland
mean,
did.
that power play is going to be successful no matter who's devising the systems. But
Not true.
I think, well, it's not maybe not this
We've seen it,
successful,
Bruce.
maybe
We've seen
not
it
this
not be true.
successful, right?
Yeah, we've
But
seen it a whole year.
mhm.
2017-18, that power play was anemic, and they had great players on that power play. And there was, they just weren't in sync. They weren't at that point. McDavid hadn't been freed up, right? He was always out there on the right half wall,
Mhm.
and he just wasn't that effective. Drysettle wasn't in that spot where he gets the executioner shot off. He wasn't constantly there. So you can have NHL coaches who will take these players and not get a great power play out of it. So
I would give Dave Tippett some credit for the power play. Some might say, well, look at the gifts that he's been given. But I will say then, look at the penalty kill and how they've had to change out several of the main penalty killers in each of his 3 years, and yet somehow the penalty kill keeps getting on and doing okay. So I think some of that definitely has to be credited to coaching.
your number.
My number is flat 0, and that is the number of shot attempts generated by the line of Derek Ryan, Warren Foegele, and Zach Kassian tonight. 3 forwards on a line that played 12, 13 minutes for Foegele and Kassian, and 9 for Ryan. What do I got for Ryan? 14 for Ryan. So they're all around 14 minutes. And among the three of them, they couldn't even direct one puck towards the net because they were chasing the game. And they didn't stink. Like defensively, well, Ryan had a bit of a tough night on the penalty kill. I thought Kassian was actually all right defensively, and Foegele didn't create any waves, but they just had nothing offensively, nothing at all. And that's now, I think, 3 games at least where they've been really quiet since they had a very good start and they were scoring in every game for a little while there. But that's gone the other way, and hopefully it's something they can turn around soon, or maybe they'll look at shaking things up a bit, because 0 shot attempts from an entire forward line, regular forward line. I mean, it's not the fourth line we're talking about. It's just not acceptable, really.
Yeah, I think they'll stick with them. I mean, they've been a pretty good line, and every line will have an off night now and then, right? Like just
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah.
things get out of sync. For some reason, it's just not working. And one theory from, the Russians, for instance, the Soviets would stick with their lines for a long time. And the thinking was that by doing that, you put the responsibility on the players
Hmm.
to sort it out among themselves, to figure it out, to fight through it. This was Anatoly Tarasov's theory.
Hmm.
And uh, it's not a theory that's much used in the NHL these days, but
Oh,
um, I think there's something to it. I think that coaches might go to that more. They're so they just are hyper managers now, like managers. They don't that idea of letting the players work it out among themselves over time might seem foreign to a modern coach, but maybe there's something to that, and I like it. I like these lines a lot. I think these are the lines that I would pick. So that's why I like them. But I also think they're very good lines. They make sense to me. And except
yeah.
for the fourth line, which still not a fan
Well,
of. But the top three lines, there's a good mix on all those lines. Stick with them. And stick with the ammo on that second line. Stick with the dynamite line. See if they can keep picking it up. And that top line has got ton of chemistry. And so does the third line. So
yeah,
Bruce,
it's
go
about as
ahead.
passe as a baseball manager starting a pitcher and using that same pitcher for the entire game, right? It's just almost from another era of without the
Yes.
micromanaging, where they just sort of pick the lineup and let them go. And nowadays, count the pitches and let's make sure you don't go through the order more than twice and have the platoon advantage. And it's all this, and it's fascinating in its own way, but it makes for a different game in some ways.
I don't watch baseball anymore, so I'm done with it. All
That's
right.
their time, man.
I know. That's what I hear. Um, my number, Bruce, is 1.5. That, after 8 games, which is a small sample size, as we all know, that is the Oilers' goal differential, 1.5. 4.1 goals for per game, 2.6 goals against per game. Bruce, this Oilers team has the second highest goal differential in Edmonton Oilers history. Now it's just 8 games, so who knows if it's going to last? Probably not. We already talked about the special teams and how kind of historically high they are, unbelievably high. So the 1.5 goal differential, is that going to last? I don't know. Maybe not. But Bruce, only one team, the 1983-84 Oilers had a higher goal differential. 1.7 was their goal differential. Two other teams are tied with this Oilers team. The
Hmm.
81-82 Oilers had a 1.5 goal differential, as did the 85-86 Oilers. That's really interesting. The 82 team and the 86 team kind of had a bad run in the playoffs. Both those teams lost tough series in the playoffs. Anyway, this is a dominant team that we've seen for the first 8 games. Um, Fingers crossed it can continue, Bruce. I think this is a different kind of Oilers team. If they can continue to get goaltending like Smith and Koskinen have given them, they're not going to obviously finish the year with an 875 winning percentage. But this is a very, very good team. They've got 3 lines that work. They've got finally, I might write about this. They finally have defensemen who can move the puck. All these guys can move the puck. And the one guy who's not a natural, not known as a puck mover, Cuckoo, he moves it okay. He's not terrible at it. He's not a turnover machine or a giveaway machine. He's not up the
Or
boards and ice
dump
it.
it out into the neutral zone
Yeah,
so they can wave back
yeah.
in at you.
This is a team that they move the puck, they attack,
Hmm.
and they have 4.1 goals. It wasn't high for the 80s. That would put them at the lower end of the 80s era for goal scoring, but higher than the 89-90 team that won the cup, which I
Right.
think had 3.9 goals per game. And it's the highest scoring Oilers team since the 1980s. It is
Yeah.
this is a good team. This is a very good team.
Yeah. Or the other thing is that it's an okay team, but with two such high-end superstars driving the attack, that as long as the rest of the team can hold its own, the superstars are going to find a way to win games. But uh, it's more than just those superstars. I mean, Nugent Hopkins is playing great hockey and making terrific plays involved in goals game after game. Same goes for Zach Hyman, who's a
Yeah.
force on both special teams, and who, as is Nuge, and who is, uh, finding ways to finish plays or tonight make the pass. Um, they've got some more depth at the forwards. So it's not just the two guys doing all of the heavy lifting. They're just doing most of the heavy lifting now, and I mean that's really what you want. I mean, you think of great teams. I mean, it reminds me of great teams of the past, and I'm not saying they're a great team yet, but in terms of trying to compare them, reminds me of the Boston Bruins of Bobby Orr and Phil Esposito. And you've long made the comparison of Connor McDavid being Bobby Orr playing center.
Mm-hmm.
And I would make the comparison that Leon Drysettle is, if you want to compare him to a big, heavy, power, skilled center of the past, Phil Esposito is not such a bad guy to compare him to.
It's a very good
So
comp.
you start with those
Stylistic.
two guys and then you build around them. And that's
Yeah,
what they're
I
trying
agree
to
with
do.
you. That is an excellent comparison. And Hyman, he reminds me a bit of Cashman. He's not as chippy as Cashman, as Wayne Cashman, but
Uh-huh.
he's tough on the boards like Cashman. I mean, I thought Drysidle was a great puck protector, but Zach Hyman is fantastic at it. He is so hard. He's setting up, like when he's charging in on the puck, he's setting up the defenseman to puck protect before he gets there, and
Mm-hmm.
to angle them to the place where the defenseman doesn't want to be. He's great at retrieving pucks out of the corners. That's what Cashman was, and they had, of course, the Oilers, like you say, they got Fogle, they got some depth now. They got Fogle and they got Puljujarvi and Yamamoto and
Yeah.
behind these other players. So and Bouchard makes a huge difference, I think, having a defenseman like that who looks like he's a top puck moving, top pairing D man right now.
Most nights.
Most nights, maybe not tonight. It's a different aspect to the Oilers that they haven't had
Yeah.
in quite a while. So so far so good. So far so good. So far so great. How about that?
Yep, 7 wins, 1 loss, plus 12 in the goals for and against column. And I mean, even if it's all special teams, normally you'd say, well, that special teams isn't sustainable, and maybe it's not at quite this level. But I'm very confident in saying that the Oilers' power play will outscore their opposition's power play by, tens of goals over the course of the season.
Yeah. This power play is going to be at least, I think, at least 30%, 30% plus this year. We'll see how much higher they can get over 30%. Let's leave it there, Bruce.
Okay.
Thanks for talking tonight.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.